All right, let's go over Unit 1. So I don't have to do it in class. This one's pretty easy compared to much of the other stuff we've done so far. So you're just going to fill this in. I'm not going to fill in every last thing. Don't only copy what I write. Go to Quizlet. I'll put those up on Google Classroom and find definitions for these. So scarcity. This is this problem we have where we have limited resources and unlimited wants. So if we have these two things, we have to make decisions. I can't have whatever I want whenever I want. That's not a thing. Even if I was really rich, I couldn't have whatever I want whenever I wanted it. Because I've got limited resources. I've got limited money. I've got limited time. I can't get from here to there quickly enough. There aren't enough hours in the day. And yeah, my wants they're fairly unlimited, especially compared to my resources. So because we have these two things working against each other, we need to make decisions, which leads us to opportunity cost. So the opportunity cost is the thing you gave up when you made your decision. So the kind of the best alternative, not just any alternative, but the best one lost when the decision was made. And we have to consider that cost. That's something you didn't get to do because you did the other thing. All right, next it jumps to production. So what do we need to make stuff? So in order to make stuff, we need some combination of these four things. Land, in this situation, means the gifts of nature. So it could be just that's an R. It could be just the land itself that you're renting out to, say, a farmer or an orchard or ranchers or space to build a factory. But it can also mean the fish on that land, the wheat growing in the fields, the water in the stream. So all those gifts of nature. Labor, this is any work that humans do, physical or mental. Okay. Capital, this generally refers to goods used to make other goods. So for example, in my restaurant, the capital goods are the stove, the refrigerator. If I work in a factory, the robots, the assembly line, those are capital goods. If I'm making clothing, my sewing machines are capital goods. And the last one here is entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurship is the person willing to take a risk. So this is this willingness to take risk. So this is the person that has to organize the entire thing and put it all together. And we'll get to this later on in Unit 4, but the payment for land is rent, the payment for labor is wages, the payment for capital is usually expressed in some form of interest when we're using money to make money, and the payment for entrepreneurship is profits. So good job. All right, so economy. So governments kind of divide up or consider their country in terms of who gets to make what decisions and what sorts of decisions have to be made. So the three decisions every government makes are what to make, how to make it, and who do we sell it to? Who or whom to sell to? That says whom. So in a market economy, these decisions are all made by the people. People decide what job they're going to do. People decide what they're going to make. People decide how they're going to make it. People decide. People own the property. They own all the resources and the kind of factors of production. They're all owned by people. In a command economy, the government controls what to make, how to make it, and who to sell to, whom to sell to, sorry. To whom to sell? Yeah, anyway. So the government owns all the resources as well. The government owns the mines, they own the forests, they own the trees, they own the trucks, they own the roads. And they do some sort of planning in order to kind of arrive at these decisions over here. Next one, a traditional economy. It is tradition and custom making the decisions. Basically, we're going to do things the way we've always done things. And the United States and most economies, this is, we wind up with a mixed economy. So this is kind of all of the above. So some combination of market, command, and traditional. The United States, most people own their own businesses, or people that own businesses, they own them outright. They get to make the decisions, how to make it, who to sell to, etc. But the government does have a say when it comes to paying your workers, right? You can't pay them nothing. You got to pay them at least a minimum wage. You can't hire little kids. Everybody's got to pay taxes. So there's aspects of command economy. We also have traditional economy aspects in the United States. There are some jobs that are seen as women's jobs or men's jobs. That's just custom. We tip our waiters and waitresses because, I don't know, somebody decided it was a good idea a long time ago and we just kept doing it. So anyway, that's that. Production possibilities here. I'm going to get a new page here. So the production possibilities frontier. This is kind of the situation where we've got kind of two goods can be produced. And they're currently showing us at kind of full employment and full technology and resources. And it's this thing, if you remember. And remember, it looks like this. And this is guns and butter. Remember this? Oh, it was so long ago. So this nation, this is the production possibilities frontier, or sometimes called the production possibilities curve. Depends on who's saying it. I think it's an East Coast, West Coast thing. Harvard economists are like, oh, it's curve. And the Chicago economists are like, oh, it's frontier, whatever. Anyway, what this means, and frontier is a little more descriptive maybe. This is as far as we can get out here. Our country can produce nothing but guns and zero butter. It can produce all butter and no guns, or it can produce somewhere in the middle. And the idea is if I decide, let's say I'm just making butter, this right here is 0% guns and 100% butter. Okay. So if we decide to move up along the curve and I want to produce some guns, right, I'm going to produce this many guns. But in order to produce this, there's an opportunity cost. And my opportunity cost is this much butter. I lose this butter. Okay. If I keep going, so if I move from here up to here, right, I lose this amount, but I gain this amount. So it is opportunity cost in action. So that's that. Other things to look at are, let me back up a second. Let's get rid of this mess in the middle here. So let's say I don't have to produce on the line. So if I produce inside here, this is inefficient. I can produce there, but this is a terrible place to produce. I am not producing as many guns as I should or as I could. I'm not producing as much butter as I could. I'm being kind of wasteful. The other dot is this out here is impossible. And it's impossible right now. Now, it might be possible if we get more people into our country. It might be possible if we have some technology or resource discovery. So we'll get there someday, but right now we cannot do that. So anyway, this is a production possibilities frontier. Look at that. Back to here, the idea of comparative advantage. I probably should do a different one on this. But the idea of comparative advantage is this notion that whoever has the lowest opportunity cost, if there are two people, whomever has lower opportunity cost should produce that good. Probably the easiest example would be if I am a lawyer and I make $1,000 an hour. Should I do my own typing? And a typist, let's say, makes $50 an hour. Why doesn't a lawyer do their own typing? Why doesn't a lawyer do their own paperwork? And the reason has to do with opportunity cost. If the lawyer decides to spend an hour a day filling out all their paperwork and filling in all their forms, instead of giving that job to someone else, they lose $1,000. Okay, they have to hire it. So if I'm going to spend an hour a day, even if I'm the world's fastest typist, if I give up an hour of lawyering, that's $1,000. That's a pretty high opportunity cost. So I want to give this job to a typist. There's somebody out there that maybe their next best gig would be they could be earning, I could be earning $1,000 a lawyer or doing a $50 job as a typist. A typist could be earning $50, or maybe there's another job out there doing data entry for $40. So this typist actually has a much lower opportunity cost. This lawyer is going to lose $950. This typist, if they do something else, they'll lose $10. They should do the typing. The lawyer should do the lawyering. Okay? So comparative advantage, we'll look at some better examples for this later on. Anyways, that's Unit 1.